What's up, Castleberry? We are back.
Yes!
The podcast crew.
Yes!
We've got Andy Searles on the podcast. Say hello, Andy.
Hello, Drew!
We've got, I'm Drew Taylor, and we've got producer Robin.
I am present.
Yes, there she is. The three of us make up the team that is What's Up, Castleberry, the number one podcast about Castleberry and Castleberry-related things. Welcome to our little podcast that we produce and put out kind of every other week or so. It's June 2023. We've recorded over 130 of these, so go back. There's plenty of content. If you're not a big summer reader, if you're more of like I just want to chill by the pool and listen to some soothing voices, hey, this is the podcast.
You know, Robin, when you meet someone, you can't quite remember your name, so you say, hey, how are you, buddy? Right? And you just kind of hedge it a little bit. When Drew said we're in episode 130 something, that's the podcast equivalent of hedging.
But in his defense, neither one of us could remember the episode number either, so.
Well, to be candid, I couldn't even remember the guest we have today. We had on a long, long time ago. I forgot about that conversation.
She's been on like twice.
There's a lot of stuff that we've done in our time together.
Mallory, I didn't forget the first time you were on the show.
I
That
didn't
was a
even
very
forget.
special moment.
Well, we will get there. We will get to our special guest, and this is a big guest. It was a big get for the podcast. We're very privileged to have that person on, which we'll introduce in just a minute. But before we get there, just a quick check-in. What's going on, everybody? How's your summer been so far?
Mine's great, fabulous, living life, thriving.
Your meme game is very strong,
That's
Robin.
right.
I chuckle. I look forward to
Collecting
going on
memes
Facebook.
for the internet.
It's funny, when Drew sees your memes, he chuckles. When I see them, I pray for you.
I knew that was coming.
That was pretty good.
That was funny.
You guys were at the beach recently?
We try to go to the beach as often as we can. We haven't stayed at the beach recently, but we have taken a couple of afternoon trips. And that's one of the great things about living in the wonderful city of Castleberry, that in just 45 minutes can be at the beach, on the beach, and doing our thing and
Drinking
enjoying the
hand.
waves and drinking hand. And yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And speaking of family, we as of this recording, we have
You're not having more children, right?
No. Thank you. That's funny. You're the second person this week that thought.
Is that where you're going?
I was like, definitely not. No more kids. We're blessed with our four. We love our four. But no, I was going to say that speaking of kids and family, we have a special birthday that would have passed as of this recording.
Yes, it's my son's 16th birthday, so we're looking forward to celebrating him. I thought you were going to reference to my birthday, which was 2 weeks ago. And I'd like to thank on the air producer Robin for the very thoughtful gift that she got me.
Aww.
Drew, we may be having some kind of problems with the mail or something, because your check just didn't arrive.
Just keep going out there every day. It'll come.
I'll keep working. But yes, it's my son's birthday, Sweet 16. We're going to have another driver on the road, so be careful, Castleberry. But he's probably already a better driver than I am. And I've been driving for quite a while.
We love you, Jonathan. Birthday buddy.
We do. So, Drew, what about you? Summer.
Yeah, we did a trip I took our two big kids, our 3-year-old Jalen and our almost 1-year-old Willow, a little road trip up to see my sister and some cousins in South Carolina. So we're in the car about 10 hours. I don't recommend it. That was a long way in the minivan with little ones, but I got to brag on my kids. They far, far exceeded my expectations. They took naps, they ate, played, they did all this stuff. They didn't cry too much. It was good. Daddy cried some, but
I'm sure
they did fine.
And what about Mama? Did she survive at home with the two little ones?
She survived, and probably the only other family news worth mentioning here is that our youngest, Corey, we have twins. Corey, our little boy, is got kind of a flat head. He's got my head. It's a very big head. He does. He has an oversized head.
Okay.
But he's going to need a helmet. And our son Jalen needed a helmet to kind of help correct the shape. And yeah, Corey's going to... I probably needed a helmet, but I didn't get it. And so the head I have is the head I have. But thankfully we can...
It's a very beautiful head.
We can help
Robin and I were just talking about that.
Thankfully we can help our kids.
Yeah.
So
that's great. I remember Jalen in his helmet, and that was great. And it made him...
He'll probably have a helmet for years to come, just in a different context for sports. But that's right.
Cool.
So that's a lot of little family updates, and I think it's only appropriate then that we transfer our time and our energy to the
Robin,
dad jokes of the week.
That Drew only always talks about his family so he can make a link, a transition to the dad joke of the week.
Why would he not use the gift that God has given him to do that?
So for the dad jokes of the week, I try to theme these, and it was our house is kind of a zoo these days, and so I figured, what the heck, I'm gonna make our theme zoo related this time. So Got 2 jokes for you, Robin. Here you go. Andy, these are not for you. These are for Robin. Robin and Joy. Here we go. I visited the zoo, and we did. Our family visited the zoo the other day, and I noticed a loaf of sourdough in a cage.
Okay.
In a cage?
It was in a cage in the zoo.
Okay. So
The sign said, "It bred in captivity." Okay, Andy's confused. I totally
get it.
All right, here we go. Why should you never play games around the wildcat enclosure at the zoo?
Why?
Why should you never play games at the wildcat enclosure? There's just too many cheetahs. That's what I got.
I thought you said you themed these jokes. What does that got to do with?
The zoo?
They're themed together.
Oh, but they got nothing to do with our guest.
She has
No.
pandas.
Oh, pandas. Okay.
That kind of was, yeah.
Okay.
All right, your turn.
Okay. Robin, you ready with your laugh button?
I sure am.
Because I'm going to just rattle them off really quickly.
You're really moving fast here.
Why will McDonald's never sell snail burgers at their restaurant?
Why?
Because they only sell fast food.
Snail burger. That would be kind of a slimy, yucky mess.
Yeah. You know, we have a principal with us today, and I read the other day about a high school teacher who was arrested trying to board a plane while in possession of a ruler, a protractor, a compass, a slide rule, and a calculator.
Wow.
They said he was carrying weapons of math instruction. Hit the blue button, Robin. Oh, no, wrong one! Hit the other blue button.
All right, give me 1 or 2 more.
One more. The guy at work claims he didn't steal the battery out of my calculator. I don't believe him. Something just doesn't add up.
Felt like I knew that one. That was kind of a theme. We had 2 or 3 when
Have you seen those things on Instagram where they have 2 guys who are sitting on a dock and they tell the jokes, but they're staring at each other, not trying to...
deadpans?
Right.
Yes, those are really good.
Yeah.
Those are great. All right. Well, let's turn our attention to some serious matters. Let's talk about some Castleberry in the news, Andy. And even though you don't love dad jokes, well, I know you, and one thing you do love is soccer.
Yes.
You love soccer, and I got for the news segment. Sometimes I like to give our listeners on the field reporting, and in this case, I literally was on the field. My family enjoyed the upgrades to Secret Lake Park, and we were there last week and one afternoon, and I couldn't help but notice there was quite the number of vehicles at the park, and there was a soccer kind of tournament, maybe a camp going on. And it was really fascinating. There was a number of folks playing soccer. There was parents watching. It wasn't like little kids. It was like high school age, maybe even young adult college age. And Andy, you said you saw a billboard recently, kind of.
Yeah, I was on 1792 434, that intersection, and often Castleberry is advertising their events on that billboard as you're waiting at the light. And it said FC Porto training camp. And FC Porto, and again, I as a soccer fan and a European, I know this is a huge club in Portugal. They consistently played at very, very high level. Lots of famous players have come out of that club. So my soccer fan eyes are drawn to FC Porto. Wow, that's cool that they're doing something here. And then I read the small print and it says Secret Lake Park in Castleberry. So we had one of the biggest clubs in the European Soccer League having some kind of affiliate camp right here in Castleberry. So maybe, Drew, as you stepped onto that field, and I can just imagine you walking on into the middle of a soccer game without realizing it was...
with my stroller.
Hey, guys!
Total dad move.
Maybe on that same field was a future world superstar or something. A couple of thoughts around that. One, I think it's really good for our city that we're kind of making these kind of relationships and having this kind of association. Again, everything I know about FC Porto, the reputation is kind of world class. And secondly, I think this is a big shout out to our own Secret Lake Park. You know, we as citizens voted to put some money into those parks so that they could be upgraded. The city and the Parks and Rec board and staff have done an incredible job of doing their homework, find out what needs are and doing it well. And because of that, we're able to attract organizations like this that have names that are globally known. So I love that combo of a kind of big European brand finding a home, if only for the summer, in little old Castleberry.
Yeah, I agree. And sometimes to attract, whether it be sports or something else, in this case, sports, you need the fields, you need the facilities to match kind of what your goal is. And, you know, my experience in Castleberry over the past 6-7 years is there really hasn't been much of a sports program organizationally or even just infrastructure with the lack of space. And between the updates at Secret Lake Park with that field and then the coming updates at Wers Park right off of behind Redbug Road there's some really exciting things happening specifically within Parks and Rec and sports for our youth. So exciting things happening ahead at Castleberry. We'll be back with our very special guest, Mallory Lambert.
Listeners, welcome back. We have a very special guest with us today. It's a guest that we have come to know well and love deeply. And a couple of weeks ago, we received a text from her, as did many teachers and parents and perhaps even a few students, to let us know that she has been reassigned from our elementary school here in Castleberry to another Seminole County public school, where we are absolutely convinced she's going to do as great a job, if not better, than she has here at Castleberry. Her name is Mallory Lambert, and she has served since 2017. So that is 6 years, Drew, just to help you with the math there, as the principal of Castleberry Elementary. Mallory, welcome back to our show.
Thank you.
It's a big deal to have a repeat guest. And Mallory, we know you're a busy lady. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Drew, are you getting over Mallory's departure yet? I mean, we couldn't have done this 2 weeks ago. You were just a blubbering mess.
I mean, there's some truth to that. For me personally, our family moved into town, right? Kind of when Mallory became the principal and got to serve alongside her and support her for the last years. It's going to be sad for sure, but I'm very excited about our conversation today and getting to hear about the exciting things that are ahead.
Drew, your words are kind of very preacher tone-ish. It was almost like we needed a soundtrack underneath you when you said that. It was.
Are you about to sing?
Maybe privately,
yeah, okay,
off air. Anyway, let's get back on track. So, Mallory, Drew, and I have kind of been talking about the news, and it's no surprise to many in Castleberry that you are moving. Tell us a little bit of the backstory. Flesh out for us what you have learned in the last few weeks and what you've been sharing with us.
So I will be starting a new adventure as the principal at Midway Elementary School of the Arts on July 1st.
That's great. And that's in Sanford?
In Sanford,
okay.
Yes.
It's midway to Sanford from here.
Okay.
No, not really.
It sounded sure. Midway to somewhere. Very good. Okay, that's exciting. So July 1st, Midway Elementary. Mallory, Andy and I really kind of racking our brains. I assumed transferring principals. I know there's things that you can and can't control. Kind of let us in. You don't just get to kind of put your name into whatever hat you like, right? What's the process in terms of how transfers work?
So district leadership decides when and where to transfer principals. These changes promote growth for the principals and allow us to sharpen and refine our skills. And all schools benefit by receiving new ideas from their new leader. Having the opportunity to work in different communities allows us to be invested in the county as a whole. Principals can learn from their staff at each school, and the staff learn from their principals. Then all of us as a whole are continuously growing and learning new things and are able to share what we've learned throughout the entire county.
I want to unpack some of that. Thank you for that detailed answer. But maybe just to fill in our listeners, you've transferred before, correct? Could you give us kind of a backstory of just your career? Personally?
Okay, so been in education about 15 years. I interned, the first 9 years were in Orange County. So yes, I interned at Ivy Lane. I also was a teacher, an instructional coach, and an assistant principal. And I also did 1 year. My first year as assistant principal was at Baldwin Park Elementary. And then I was transferred back to Ivy Lane as assistant principal. So assistant principals are also transferred.
You know, we see some church denominations that obviously Drew and I live in the same kind of process. And sometimes there are strengths to that. Sometimes there are struggles of that. And it's always hard to say goodbye, but I think it's fair to say that more often than not, those transitions are win-wins, right? They're good for the school, they're good for the community, they're good for the students, they're good for the principal as well. And it's hard initially, but these things tend to work out. So 6 years.
6 years.
That's a long
Went by
time.
really fast.
And it's been an incredible few years. And we were just talking off air about how we got to meet. And there's always been a lot of good things happening at Castleberry Elementary. You inherited a great staff team. Over the last 6 years, we got a new building. And I remember one of my first conversations with you, walking into your office in the old building, and there was a bunch of graphs and metrics and charts on the wall. And I saw them, I thought, I'm going to like this leader. And as I kept visiting back, the charts were all going up and to the right. And that was always very impressive to me. But what would you consider to be your greatest accomplishment over the last 6 years at our community school?
I would say the growth, we can conquer all mindset. The staff truly believes all kids can do all things. And the students love coming to school. They love to learn and they care about their success. We really care about the data at Castleberry, the academic data of our students, because we really, really, really care about our kids. The teachers are so creative, engaging, make learning fun and rigorous, exciting every day. And great things have happened for 6 years because of the great people there.
That's good.
It's good.
It's true, too.
Very true.
One thing I've noted just as an outside observer and getting to know some of the team has been just the opportunities for growth amongst the team. I believe you interned, or some of your teachers were getting their, advanced degrees, and very much saw that as a positive takeaway, not just for Castleberry, but for Seminole County as a whole, and the development of new leaders. Would you maybe speak to that and just kind of what you enjoyed about working with the team at Castleberry and developing their gifts?
Yes, so I have and had amazing mentors, and it was always important to me to give back to teachers looking to grow in their career like was given to me. So that's one of my passions, empowering others and building future leaders. So we have several teachers who've got their masters in educational leadership who have gone on to be instructional coaches and SAMs, assistant principals, things like that. So I definitely enjoy mentoring others, but also working with new teachers is one of my passions. Coaching them and seeing them grow is incredibly rewarding.
So what are you most proud of?
So much. That's hard to answer.
That's a big question.
That is a big question. But
Yeah, I mean, specifically to the school, not just in life.
so much at Castleberry. So I would say the relationships that I've built with the student staff, the parents, and the Castleberry community. Everyone comes together to help the students. It's truly amazing. I'm very, very proud of the community, everything they've done to help us grow. First of all, to keep Castleberry open and successful. A great place to learn and grow. Growing from a C school to an A school, and couldn't have done that without the support of the community.
I think as I've kind of always seen it reflecting back, there are three components of a great school, and I'm sure there are more, but just as outside eyes. One is the teachers and the culture, and that's always been strong. The other is the kind of academic achievement. And the other, not to cheapen things, is the facility. And I think you had the culture, but what you've done in bringing that grade from a C to an A is incredible. And then, of course, we're doing it in a new building, too. It's like the perfect trifactor.
Yeah, one thing we've shared over the year, really the last year, is we've had access to go with you and the tour and all. Andy, you say it much better than I, but essentially the new building, that third component there, really is now an outward reflection of what was done so well internally before. We knew, if you were involved with the school, if you volunteered, if you had kids go there, you knew it was a great school, but it didn't necessarily look like it from the eye outside. Would you affirm that or speak to that, just of what it meant to have the new building?
So much. We say the outside now matches the magic happening on the inside. I think we said that during the ribbon cutting ceremony. Yeah. It really, truly is an amazing facility. Brand new, everything, and it is amazing. If you haven't been for a tour, you should.
I have that same principle at work in my life. I'm really quite nice on the inside. I'm just the package that the inside is dressed in isn't the most attractive. But that A grade that you mentioned was a big deal. And I remember from day one, that was the goal, because you knew that if you could get that everything else could fall into place in terms of hopes and ambitions and reaching the kind of stars and stuff. And I remember when you texted out that we were an A school, and part of that, it was just great, not just for the school and for you and for your teachers, but when a community has an A school, everybody wins, right? Because it becomes a community that people want to move into, which pushes up house prices, and people wanted to be associated with that kind of quality and success. And so it didn't just change the perception of the school, it changed the perception of the community as well. So thank you for being driven on that from day one.
We're a big, Mallory, this will be our last question for today's conversation. We actually, listener, we're excited to have Mallory be our special guest for next podcast as well. So you'll have to come back and listen to part 2. There's your plug. To kind of close out this particular conversation today, let me ask you this question. Just Andy and I are leadership junkies. We really are interested in it. As you said, develop.
It's not like an addiction.
No, I mean,
it's not like we have a support group.
We read books and we talk about it, and it's kind of core to who we are. And one of the things Andy always says, and I've picked up on, is you do more together than you do individually. And one of the questions Andy had written in our notes was about just the strengthening of the team. Whether it was, I remember one year you guys had a whole theme about like wilderness and having like a little slogan that went along with that, and everybody being on the same page. What would you say would be encouraging to our listeners, and particularly to other leaders, in terms of what you've learned about modeling leadership or a specific element of like being a leader in terms of strengthening the team that you were privileged to serve?
Well, first of all, I was very lucky to walk into a culture that was very, very strong, and I did everything to nurture and strengthen that and keep things that way. Very thankful for that. So I think the most important thing was trusting my people. You hire people to do their job and trust that they're going to do a good job. And that means not micromanaging them, empowering them. We're all leaders at Castleberry, so everyone's encouraged. If you have a problem, come with the solution, and we all work together to write the schedule, create the theme. We all work together to build classes, all those things. So it's definitely collaborative leadership, and definitely hearing them out, listening to their ideas, easing their worries, helping them solve concerns. If they don't have solutions, throwing some out there, implementing new ideas they may have, showing them they're appreciated, which I do with the community support a lot. And I cannot lead without the team. So really showing them that I appreciate and I value them. And I use their feedback to guide my decisions.
I love that. I mean, if you wrote that in a book, I'd read it.
Agreed.
But I see it in you all the time. Yes. Because you do. You're a principal, but you're also the biggest cheerleader for your team and always investing in them. And I think you've found the perfect balance of how to lead without controlling and give people permission without being kind of laissez-faire too much too. And it's really been incredible. And I think we're all kind of celebrating some of that success and benefiting from that as well. As Drew said, this is going to be a 2-part conversation, and this is the end of our first one. So let me say thank you for being with us today, and we can't wait for our next conversation. We have been blessed in our community by having Mallory's leadership and her love as a part of the community. What she has done with our school to take it to the next level and to position us for further growth is just incredible. Listener, I hope that you will mark in your calendar 2 weeks from today to listen to the rest of this interview. It will bless and encourage you. But as we prepare to wrap up this week's episode, I want to throw it to my secure, excellent, couldn't do it without you co-host, Drew Taylor, who is an inspiration, but is also going to offer us all some inspiration.
Well, thank you, Andy. And this quote actually kind of builds upon that theme. I'm going to give this right back to Andy as well as all of our listeners. This is from the author of Winnie the Pooh, A.A. Milne. A.A. Milne, author of Winnie the Pooh, said this: "You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think." I'm not gonna lie, this quote reminds me of the viral YouTube video of the little girl standing in front of the bathroom mirror that was giving herself that self-promotion. And you're so great. But sometimes we do. Life is hard and heavy and can be very discouraging. Our circumstances sometimes are such that really we feel like it's a struggle just to move forward in our lives. And so if nothing else today, I really hope, listener, that you would believe that you are braver, stronger than you seem, smarter than you think. You are made with purpose. You have real value, and you are a valuable member of our little community here in Castleberry, Florida. So, A.A. Milne, thank you for Winnie the Pooh, one of my absolute favorite books and stories growing up. Let me read the quote one more time. You are braver than you believe, stronger than you seem, and smarter than you think.
Thank you so much for listening. I think actually, Drew, that was A.A. Milne's writing, but I think one of his characters said that in one of the books or something. I'm not quite sure whether it's Pooh, Tigger, or whoever, but good words. Thank you for that. Listener, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that you have enjoyed your time with us. We sure are grateful that you have given some of it to listen to our ramblings. Thank you to Mallory, our guest. Thank you for Drew, my co-host. And thank you for Robin, our beautiful and funny and charming and Delilah-voiced producer. Our podcast can be found on many podcast feeds under the name What's Up Castleberry. You can follow us on social at What's Up Castleberry on Facebook and Instagram. And of course, check out our website at whatsupcastleberry.com to listen to former episodes and to find out a little bit more about who we are and why we do what we do. Listener, until next time, take care, God bless, and thanks for being a part of our community.